welcome to another one of my live stream lectures. And before we get into today's very important lecture, I want to take a moment to thank all of my supporters and all of my subscribers, everyone for supporting my channel. So with that being said, let's get on down to today's very important lecture is protecting your YouTube channel. Protecting your YouTube channel. You know, my channel is a little 4 years old. My channel has been monetized for well over 2 years. And protecting your YouTube channel as a content creator is simple, in which is you must read and know and follow the community guidelines as a YouTube content creator. You can go to your YouTube studio and you can read all of the YouTube community guidelines. They update those guidelines. They will alert you in your YouTube studio when updated YouTube guidelines have been updated. But you really have to spend time on an ongoing basis reading those guidelines in detail and to periodically review and read those guidelines in order to protect your channel. If you have questions or need clarity about any of those YouTube community guidelines, you can email YouTube directly and they will answer and give you clarity on whatever you want clarity on. Don't go by what other content creators' interpretation of the guideline is. Don't go by disgruntled content creators who get mad at YouTube for whatever reason because they may have gotten warnings or strikes or had their channel shut down. So they're giving their own interpretation of those guidelines. No, as a content creator, it is your responsibility to know those guidelines, to abide by those community guidelines in order to protect your channel. You know, and some of the number one major community guideline violations to me, which is a no-brainer, to me is simple. As a content creator, you cannot violate copyright laws. Rather, you cannot use someone else's music or you cannot use someone else's video as your own. That is a violation of copyright laws. And if a content creator decides to do that, they need to get their channel shut down. Copyright laws applies to in any genre, rather it's the academic world, the publishing world, or going to school. It applies to any level of school, rather it's elementary school, middle school, high school, college. A young child can get in trouble if they copy the homework of a classmate because it's not their work. You can get kicked out of school. You know, so that's real big in the academic world in terms of copyright laws. You cannot, a published author who has published a book, you cannot get that published author book and all you're doing is changing the title and submitting that book as your own. That's violation of copyright laws. You cannot use another person's music across one of your videos. That's a violation of copyright laws. Just like I'm doing this lecture right now, can't nobody use my lecture and this is me producing this content. That's a violation of copyright laws. So you should get your channel shut down. So as a content creator, in order to protect your channel, so you ain't got to worry about getting warnings, strikes, or shut down, it is your responsibility to stay abreast of those community guidelines. And if you have questions about the guidelines, take those questions to the source. You know, there are so many content creators are getting warnings, strikes, and copyright laws is just one guideline. There's other guidelines, you know, in terms of no hate messages, threatening messages in any shape, form, or fashion, presenting misinformation. You know, those all are the main guidelines that are there. But believe it or not, a lot of content creators get they behind in trouble and get warnings and strikes to get their channel shut down because they are violating those community guidelines, people. And that is the business side. If you want to be a content creator, then you got to understand following those guidelines is a business. If you want to, especially if your channel is monetized, rather you monetize or not, but especially if you monetize, if you want to protect your money, if you want to protect your monthly revenue, then it would make sense to abide by those guidelines. Because if not, then if your channel checked down, then your money gone. This thing is real. You know, a lot of people or content creators, be saying, well, YouTube picking on them, and I'm getting these warnings and I'm getting these strikes. But when I'm listening to this, what I don't hear them talking about is what guideline have they violated. Because YouTube ain't just going to give you a warning or a strike or shut your channel down for nothing, for absolutely nothing. They're not going to give you a warning or strike or shut your channel down if you are abiding by those guidelines to the letter and you're doing everything right and you're not going to do anything against those guidelines. Because trust me, if they give you a warning or a strike or shut your channel down, it is something wrong. You have violated one of those guidelines. Trust me. Make no mistake about that. You have violated one of them guidelines, in those community guidelines, in order for you to be brought to the attention of YouTube. Make no mistake about that. Just like if a person has gotten fired on a job, trust me, somewhere along the line, they have violated HR policies, the company policy, somewhere, in order to get fired from that job. Because if you are doing everything according to a company policy, if you're doing all of the essential functions of your job, if you're following every single policy in the HR handbook in relation to that company, if you're doing every single thing right, you're not late to work, you're not late from returning to lunch, you're performing the essential functions of your job, you're following policies and procedures to the letter, you're reviewing the company policies and procedures on an ongoing basis, on a monthly basis. If you got clarity, if you need clarity about the agency policies and procedures, you're going to HR to get clarity, or your supervisor to get clarity. So if a person get fired, if you listen to them long enough, somewhere along the line, they have done something. Trust me. They might not claim ownership to their behavior, but they have done something wrong. No different as a content creator. If you have gotten a warning or a strike, or your channel has gotten shut down, trust me, something wrong occurred. And that something wrong occurred was going to tie into violating those community guidelines. So if you want to protect your YouTube channel as a content creator, read those community guidelines on an ongoing basis, a minimum at least 2 times a month. Read it in detail. If you have questions about those community guidelines, send YouTube an email and they will give you clarity about those guidelines. And that ties into the big success of my channel. You better believe I'm going to be looking at those community guidelines, reading those community guidelines on an ongoing basis. If I have a question, I'm going to send my email to YouTube. They will respond. And that is the number one top thing you need to do as a content creator in order to protect your channel. So pass this message along. That's all I have. Simple, fast, simple, fidelis, and I'm leaving the care of your own conscience.